The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Navigated through the multiple layers of security to get on the prison grounds, and it ended up in an exchange of gunfire with a prison officer. It's a breaking story tonight, and we take a look at it. Also tonight, just as we predicted months ago on this show, immigration has become the hot button issue this election season. We take a look at this weekend's events. Here's a question for you. Is Sebastian qualified to enter politics? Pastor Lyle Bethel says no. Bethel asked, is this a slow takeover of the gaming industry? Now, the views on this are all over the place, and tonight we talk about it. But a big question tonight, is it just Sebas, or are we only happy or happy to forget certain things? A look at some of the people who were elected to the Honorable House of Assembly, who too went through various industries that the Bahamas once frowned upon. We're going to get into all of it this evening. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's good to have you along. Let's get started. Prison authorities are investigating a shooting that happened at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services overnight. According to police, a prison officer observed a man unknown to him on the compound and subsequently confronted the man. That's when police say the man reportedly brandished a firearm and discharged it at the prison officer. The officer reportedly returned fire with his service weapon, striking the suspect, who then managed to escape the area. Now, authorities are asking residents who may have any information in regards to this crime to reach out to the police urgently at 911, 919, or 328-TIPS. Well, this evening, we're going to stop and pause right there because that's a lot to get into. I mean, I don't know how high the prison walls are. And then on top of those walls, I imagine there are those barbed wire type things. Yep. It should be electric. I hope it's electric on top of that. But I'd like to bring in my panelists right now to get their thoughts on this, because this really, you couldn't make this one up. Those Mayberry type stories. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Leslie Miller and Peggy Candice. Good evening to both of you. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Good evening, Shanique.
Good evening, Bahamas. Good evening, Shanique.
Listen, Leslie and Peggy, your thoughts on just what took place and unfolded in the wee hours. I think it was around 3 this morning that this incident happened on the compounds of the prison.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Bahamas. Once again, thank you for having me, Shanique. The only word that comes to mind is unbelievable. This is just like a movie. I mean, how can somebody go beyond the different layers of security to have a shootout with a security officer? And heads must roll. That's all I have to say. It is unacceptable. And there got to be a standard of security. And we're looking at our borders, and we got to look right inside our township. Mm-hmm. If somebody can come in, then people can get out. Just as easy.
You know, that's really a key point right there. Leslie, your thoughts on what took place
first
this
and
morning?
foremost, one would think that there are sufficient cameras on that compound 24/7 to catch the entire area that covers the prison. I found it astounding that man could be so bold and presumptuous to jump those high wires and confront an officer of the law.
And then the walls.
And then escape.
The walls must be at least 8 feet.
And then escape, excuse me. I mean, how do these things happen? I agree with what the lady said. Someone got to pay a price for that. That should never happen.
And then, the motive is, what was this person's motive?
Exactly.
Where were they headed?
Yeah.
If they hadn't come in contact with the prison officer.
With a weapon.
With a weapon at that. Where were they going? I mean, obviously, we need the prison, the commissioner of prisons to respond to this.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Yourself.
Explain yourself. Those walls are very high. I imagine about 8 feet or so. Leslie, you can tell
At least
me
8 foot.
if okay then.
Yeah, barbed
Then
wire on top of that.
barbed wires
2, 3
on
foot
top
of
of it.
barbed wire.
Who is it that is so talented in this Bahamas that they can scale that and then work through those barbed wires and is not representing the Bahamas on the Olympic stage? This is really urgent that the prison commissioner and his team address this to know where the breach happened and were those cameras working. That's important as well. What are the cameras telling us? What is it that the cameras are showing? Because the Bahamian people need to know. We don't need to know, as you said, Peggy, the easy in, easy out. That doesn't give anybody any sort of comfort.
And just as important, who were they looking for?
And who were they looking for?
Were they going to kill a prisoner? Someone there's a case before the courts maybe that concerns them. Someone was sent there to take someone out, to take a life. It's just horrendous.
And then where would they know where to go? So where were they headed? Again, a lot of questions tonight. This is a story that was released late this evening, before airtime, and something that we are awaiting further answers on, because it's very urgent that the state's premier penal institution can be so easily accessed.
The public deserves the right to know.
We absolutely do. Well, listen, moving along, Leslie and Peggy, in response to a recent article published by the Tribune highlighting U.S. concerns over Chinese investments in the Bahamas, particularly the recent $195 million agreement for the construction of a new hospital on Papal Tract, Director of Communications in the Office of the Prime Minister, Latre Raming, issued a statement clarifying the government's position. Now, Raming says while the Bahamian government respects the opinion of its American partners, it also maintains strong diplomatic ties with China.
The government of the Bahamas have maintained the view that we respect the views of other countries. We do not intend to get between the geopolitical fight of China and the United States. The Prime Minister has been very clear that China has always been a partner in the Bahamas' long-term economic development. So the government of the Bahamas is well aware of the U.S. government's long-standing perspective on Chinese involvement in the Caribbean. Insofar as a UK firm expressing interest into the hospital, after a conversation with the Minister of Health, the government had communicated more than a year ago its intent to proceed with securing funding through the China Import-Export Bank. And the government at the time, in conversation, expressed its openness to work along with the group on future projects and financing of future projects. But it was too far in the development of the stages, and what is being offered by the China Export-Import Bank is a very favorable financing arrangement for the government of Bahamas.
Clarified that while a conversation did take place between the teleprompter. Let's roll it. The United Kingdom High Commissioner and the Ministry of, listen, y'all, don't play tonight. I have no scripts in front of me. You understand? No scripts. Let's not do it. Let the show be the show and not me doing this. And the ministry regarding the possibility of a procurement deal. The agreement between the Bahamas and China was already well in the pipeline, of course, as we heard him say. Now, China is pushing back, dismissing U.S. concerns over its financing of the new Nassau Hospital project as baseless. In a statement, the Chinese embassy said that the $195 million concessional loan was extended at the request of the Bahamian government, stressing it's low interest, politics-free, and makes up only a small portion of the country's external debt. The embassy says the deal was reached through the consultation and meets the Bahamas' development needs, and took a swipe at the United States, saying the nation's most critical of China's aid programs are also home to the financial institutions driving global debt. China also defended its wider role in the Caribbean infrastructure, pointing to projects in Guyana, Trinidad, and urged the United States to take a more open and inclusive approach to global cooperation. Your response to this, we know that the tension is probably the best word, relationship, or the tense rather, relationship between the United States and China. The people of the region would say, though, listen, with our small economies and much that has to be done to meet the needs of growing populations, we have to go and get it where we can get it. We're not involved, as was said, in sort of that, whatever that is that's happening between the United States and China. What the focus is for each nation in the region is to in a sovereign way, provide for its citizens. Your thoughts on where the region finds itself in this little row, or big?
A $195 million loan at 2%. You cannot beat that. The Bahamas government must look out for the best interests of the Bahamas and Bahamian people and the development of our country. We know that the hospital is badly needed. Everybody complain about PMH. And so I think the right position is taken by this administration to negotiate with whom is in our best interest. I think the U.S., of course, is trying to control relationship based on their falling out or dramas with China. That's not our business. Our business is to develop our country so Bahamians can be taken care of in a decent and dignified way. And so the U.S., and I agree with the Chinese ambassador when she tells the U.S. to get out a certain mentality and allow the Caribbean nations to benefit from smaller loans. Would the World Bank give us such a small interest? I doubt that. And so let the hospital begin, please.
The hospital is urgently needed, we know that.
No, this is an interesting scenario that's been happening now for the past 60 years in the Bahamas and the United States government. Democrats as well as Republicans. The United States seem to be of the opinion that small countries in the Caribbean, which they have never helped in a significant manner. Never. When we had the drug trade, we had held to get them to assist us with getting us boats on aircraft and what have you. They pushed the burden on the small people of color in the Caribbean and South and Central America. How do you beat a 2% loan that was also negotiated, was in negotiating stages? And when the British ambassador got involved in it, I just sort of cringed my face because it's this country that had us as slaves just a couple hundred years ago and still had us as a colony up until 1973. What concessions have they given? What concessions have they offered to countries in the Caribbean, including the Bahamas? Little or nothing. When I consider the fact that Jamaica, remember when I first went to Jamaica, the British Commonwealth Games back in 1966, the Jamaican dollar was worth $1.30 in US. And when President Reagan came around, he had a problem with with Lyndon Pilden and the Prime Minister of Jamaica at that time. He decided that the Americans should not invest in Jamaica. And the Jamaican dollar faltered and was depreciated. And over the last 50 years, it has never got back on its feet. Now, the U.S. government had the power and the might to bring them out of the problem that they were facing. They controlled the World Bank, they controlled the IMF. They did nothing towards Jamaica, and still to this day, they still punish in Jamaica. So I just find it ridiculous they could come now, especially this lady who's here now, with this high-handed approach that, you shouldn't deal with China, and China, the deals that they put together is insufficient and inept. The United States have their own problems too, eh? Mm-hmm. And the Bahamas would do and should do what is in the best interest of our people.
Definitely.
And you have a concessionary loan for 20 years at 2% interest. You don't have to make the first payment until 5 years without paying interest until it starts. What is the problem? You know, and the fight that they have with China is none of our problem. Most of the countries, Caribbean, has made the decision we are not getting involved when two giants fight.
No.
Because who can get slaughtered? We can get slaughtered in the middle. I think the government made the right decision. It needs to get started
Yes.
and get it over with. And if they don't like it, what the hell we can do about it?
Well, one of those problems that the Bahamas and the United States share for different reasons, immigration. Tensions are heating up on the national debate
Serious
over immigration as the governing Progressive Liberal Party and the Free National Movement traded words over how the country's immigration system should be managed. We are going to get into this extensively in this coming up right now, but here's Devontae Hanna with more on the story tonight.
But the current immigration system that we have is clearly broken. It's politicized, it's mismanaged, and it is wide open for abuse.
It's an issue gripping the nation, prompting a strong response from the Michael Pintard-led Free National Movement, who during a press conference on Sunday turned up the political heat, accusing the Davis administration of failing the country on immigration.
Over 10,000 immigration and work permit cases remain unresolved. Allegations of bribery and interference continue to emerge, and Bahamians have lost faith that the system is being run fairly and lawfully.
But the government isn't taking the criticism or accusations lightly. National Security Minister Wayne Munro, in a national statement later that night, chalked up Pintard's address to merely politics.
So perhaps it's not surprising that today's FNM press conference on immigration was short on vision and new ideas, but full of distortion and spin.
He also sought to defend the government's record, calling the Davis administration's performance historic.
13,000 repatriations in under 4 years, the strongest immigration enforcement record of any government. These repatriations have reduced the migrant population in the detention center to just 50 people.
Displeased, the FNM vows to launch an investigation into how citizenship is granted on the flip side by rolling out its Operation Shield, a sweeping plan to secure borders, expose political interference, and rebuild public trust.
Because we believe that our system ought to be corrected. We ought to have a strong and a fair system, one that respects the rule of law. No one should be allowed to manipulate the system, not the many consultants, not any politician, no one with influence who are known in this society to exploit the loopholes in our immigration system should be allowed to continue to go unchecked.
If elected, Pintard pledges to deploy more Defense Force officers to the Southern Corridor, establish an Immigration Reservist Corps, a government whistleblower hotline, and to up the vetting for work permit applicants. Devontae Hanna, Eyewitness News.
We're going to take a first break for the night, and when we come back, we're going to get into that, some of what the leader of the opposition had to say, and also the National Security Minister's response, and also the COI addressing the very issue also this weekend. We're back with a lot more here on Beyond the Headlines after the break.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Call now to get more of the care you need.
Welcome to Blissful Escapes, where luxury meets affordability. Whether you're seeking relief from aches and pains or simply looking to indulge in some well-deserved pampering, relax and detox in our infrared sauna. Enjoy a soothing Swedish massage or an invigorating exfoliating body scrub. We also provide advanced facial treatments using cutting-edge technology, including hydrofacial, microneedling, and microcurrent therapies, located at the shops of Cable Beach Plaza.
work hard to provide for and protect the ones you love. However, life can present unexpected challenges. Who you call in times of need matters. Insurance Management is a Bahamian-owned company that has been serving our community for over 40 years, offering a wide range of coverage for all of your personal, professional, and commercial needs. When life happens, rest easy knowing that our skilled and experienced agents are there for you in your time of need, so that you can get back to what matters most. Insurance Management. Nobody does it better.
Win a brand new 2026 GAC MPOW every week for 5 weeks. Every 10 reward points earns you 1 digital entry. The more entries you gain, the better your chances to win. 5 weeks, 5 cars. Will you be one of our lucky winners? Catch the keys today, only at Island Luck. Island Luck reminds you that it's only a game, so game responsibly.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay Eden well.
If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Of course, we are continuing with the big story this weekend. In fact, it's an issue that this show has been focused on now for quite some time, several months, in fact, and that is the issue of immigration. We saw just before the break, the Free National Movement hosted a news conference, and then Minister of National Security Wayne Munroe came and addressed the nation on the matter of just immigration and what the fare is. And I wondered over the weekend, was there some new threat? But I guess the threat is that here it is, between now and September, President Trump has said, listen, the 750,000 plus of y'all, find somewhere else to go. And so the fear is, where will they go? They too are desperate. They are looking at other countries, and be sure that does not exclude the Bahamas. I'm going to sort of go through everything that took place this weekend, then we will really come and discuss. So here it is. Immigration Minister Alfred Sayers is brushing off criticism amid growing political pressure. Sayers dismissed questions over why he didn't deliver the national address on immigration, saying the focus should be rather on facts and not politics. That task, he says, fell to the Minister of National Security, Wayne Munroe. This comes as the FNM and the Coalition of Independents sounded the alarm over what they called an immigration crisis. 2 very, very strong words, driven by government's negligence and corruption. But Sayers isn't buying that, defending the integrity of the system and denying any widespread wrongdoing.
I serve at the pleasure of the Prime Minister. What is the problem with the Prime Minister issuing a statement? The Prime Minister supervises the cabinet. And it dealt with issues of national security, issues of foreign affairs, issues visa, the Minister of Works that deals with Shantytown as well as immigration.
Meanwhile, members of the Coalition of Independents also had their say over the state of immigration in the country. Party executives say if elected, they will tackle the issue head on. But until then, they say the fight is far from over. We get the story from Laurencia Smith.
This is our last opportunity. Bahamas, are you hearing me?
Time for change. Wake up, Behemoth. Wake up, Behemoth. Wake up, Behemoth.
A better Bahamaland for not just the generations who are here, but the generations who are coming.
That's supporters of the Coalition of Independence saying that they're not backing down, vowing to defend what they're calling the country's birthright in the face of what they're summing up as an escalating immigration crisis. Now, it was here at the party's headquarters on Sunday where the COI leader Lincoln Bean insisted to a crowd of supporters that the country's immigration crisis is being fueled by alleged corruption at the hands of policymakers.
Documents are being sold like candy on the open market. And if we don't do something, there will be no country for us. We must take this seriously.
Bean insists that the immigration laws already on the books are strong, but accused governments of failing to enforce them, putting the country at risk.
It means that we're going to enforce that. No one is going to come here illegally. And how do you enforce it? The best way to get rid of unwanted persons or things in your house is to not give them anywhere to house and not give them any way to eat.
The COI says that it will continue to be a thorn in the side of lawmakers until immigration reform becomes a priority. Well, to that bold statement, Immigration Minister Alfred says defends the integrity of the country's immigration system, firmly refuting claims of the COI that government has recklessly issued passports and citizenship. Confident in the work in which your immigration officers have been doing?
Of course. We are constantly reforming the system. And the statement which was issued by the Office of the Prime Minister addresses it.
And supporters insist that government's efforts are too little too late, and they're vowing to keep the pressure on them. Laurencia Smith, Eyewitness News.
And so there you have a wrap-up of what took place this weekend. Listen, to say that Bahamians are concerned and are paying attention to the immigration issue, particularly as it will be exacerbated by that 750,000 plus Haitians in particular who have been given their marching orders to get out of the United States, is an understatement. I want to bring back Leslie and Peggy here. Your thoughts about everything that unfolded this weekend. A lot was said. Let's just start with the leader of the opposition. He says, listen, if elected, this is Michael Pintard, if elected, what the Free National Movement administration will do is further beef up the southern borders by assigning additional Royal Bahamas Defense Force Marines there to the southern border. He also talked about investigating how citizenships are given and claims of there being just a lot of violations in the Department of Immigration and just so much as it relates to the process and the steps to gaining citizenship or passports. Now, before you both weigh in, because we have a lot to get through in this same segment, right, in this on this topic, you will remember just recently a number of, whether they were passport officers or immigration officers, have been charged with just that, committing fraud at the expense of the department, whether it's passport or the Department of Immigration. Your thoughts on just what the opposition had to say and how they presented their case this weekend?
Shanique, I read some of the information and I heard one or two sound bites made by the leader of the opposition. One of the things that he said, to be clear, that any person entering the country illegal will not receive citizenship. My question is, at which point? Retroactive what? Last year, 1990?
He said never. He said never.
So at which point an illegal migrant, because I know, do you revoke those who have already received? And I think just throwing little statements out there, we need to hear more of their plan. I heard about Operation Shield. We need to hear more of the plan and how they mean to address and finance this Operation Shield. One of my concerns is the storing up of immigration, and it seems every now and then COI store up, and now I see the F&M storing up to the negative emotions, especially focus on the Asian community. And my question is, are Asians the only illegal migrants entering this country? And why so many people choose to pay special attention to the Asian community? Why the storing up? I've heard so many negative expressions, violent expressions from Bahamians on this subject.
Because, you know, Peggy, it serves a purpose. It's emotive. It is the one thing that's guaranteed to get us angry and to call for the heads of whomever, it is that we feel is responsible and not doing anything. In fact, I'll tell you all this, the leader of the opposition was to appear on this show this evening. That has since been rescheduled over the weekend. An immigration official was to join me and appear on this show this evening to answer these very questions that we're discussing right now. That person was a no-show. And so, of course, the show continues. But very good points that you mentioned, and Leslie, you can jump in. The point is, whenever it is that we are looking towards a time to vote, we pick on the things that are guaranteed. Now, mind you, immigration is no light matter. I'm not dismissing the fact of what's going on. Is there an illegal immigration problem in this nation? Yes. Majority Haitian. Peggy, that's why perhaps Bahamians focus on them, because they represent the greatest burden on the Bahamas. They represent people who have violated the norms and traditions of what it is to be Bahamian and make contribution and also live in a way that is just healthy and abides by our norms and our guidelines and our rules. So Bahamians are saying, what the dickens? How can these people be allowed, I mean, for decades now, to kind of sort of live off the grid and live as they wish?
I think more of them have become business owners in this country.
They have.
More of them are top students in this country and contributing. I know descendants of Asians on all of our forces, on every corporate banking. So how do we separate? This is my concern. They have become a part of our community, contributing to our economy. And so when I believe it's unfair to continue to highlight them and to turn a blind eye, it appears, to everybody else. How many illegal Chinese are in this country? Do we know? Do we care? Jamaicans, do we know? Do we care? It's hard to determine because the focus is on Asian national. Even to say that the 750,000 that Trump is putting out of America, that they will be headed to Nassau.
No, that's careless to even assume that. Because if you would follow the narrative and read, they are looking at other countries. Now, will some maybe trickle in here? I mean, I imagine so. What I'm trying to, they're looking though at Mexico, they're looking at Canada, they're looking at other nations. And we would hope they continue looking that way because again, we cannot absorb that. But the thing is, Peggy, you're right. Our thing is, get ready because this near million Haitians are looking straight here in the Bahamas.
Not only that, Shanique, when we talk about the U.S. Asians coming into the Bahamas, we're thinking about these people coming out of the wood. These are sophisticated, already exposed to a higher level in America. So we ain't like the least of the brethren. These are people who are careered, degreed, articulate, used to a higher level of living.
We should welcome them better.
No, I'm not saying welcome them. But how it is being created is that these people are coming, know nothing, do nothing,
You're
get
saying
nothing.
Stop the scare tactics.
Please, man.
Leslie, jump in.
Please, man.
Jump in, Leslie.
You know, I find these remarks made by the leader of opposition almost comical. He was part of the minister's government during COVID, when foreigners were coming in here to attend funerals for dogs, and Bahamians couldn't fly to the family island. I wonder if you all realize the fact that I was astounded on Friday evening when I was told point blank that a family island commissioner can give a foreigner a passport in our country called the Bahamas.
A family island commissioner?
A family island commissioner, under the law as it stands right now, under the Act, can give you a Bahamian passport if all the prerequisites are in place. Now you think about this country for the last 50 years. And that was in place then. I wasn't aware of it when I was in Parliament.
So it was
Many
this
of us were
has
not aware
been
of
in
it.
place for decades.
And many Bahamians are not aware of it. In fact, I would say 90+% of us were not aware of it.
No.
I was just told about it on Friday.
No.
Do you know how many people probably came under the disguise by going through the family islands? I agree that President of the United States has decided that 750,000 Haitians are going to be gone out of America. He's do his best to get rid of them. But I want us to appreciate as a people that, Haiti is a country with 9.5 million people. The Bahamas has 350,000 Bahamians. We can no longer afford to take on their burden.
No, we can't.
The Bahamas, we have more Haitians in the Bahamas than all the Caribbeans combined.
We've been kind enough.
Than every country in the Caribbean, we have more.
That is not an insensitive
I don't care what
statement.
education system they got. In my opinion, my humble opinion, as a Bahamian, it is now time for those Bahamians, those Haitians who are doing well here in the Bahamas, to volunteer to go back to their country to make it a better place.
Leslie, they're not going to return. They're not going to go back.
I say to make it a better place.
They don't know
All of these guys who raised in hell.
Many of them don't
about
know
the Bahamas. What's your buddy name? Him and the rest of the crew.
Many of them don't know Haiti. Many of them don't know Haiti.
Everybody know that country,
They've
man.
never been.
Listen, Bahamians who born in the 6th, our nephews and nieces know the Bahamas. This their home. Okay? I really think they need to volunteer to go back and make Haiti the country that they would wish it to be.
Beyond the Headlines is back out. Leslie, I really wanted your input on this next segment, but you please sit and just watch it. And when we come back, we're going to shift gears because I'll tell you this. Everybody was looking at this interview that I had last Tuesday. Everyone. Well, there's feedback, and I mean punching, scorching feedback. Speaking of Sabas Bastian, back in a moment.
After I was in a plane crash in June 1983, I lost my left arm. I had some good friends came along, fishing guides. They said, man, we can teach you to fly fish. Exuma. Can you see? Look at it, man. One of the nicest places you want to be in the world. There were challenges learning to cast, learning to put a fly on a leader, learning to tie the different knots for me as a handicapped individual. As a matter of fact, I don't really feel handicapped because I could do everything, man. Anything anybody could do, I think I could do it too. Because with your mindset to do anything, no matter what you are, what you look like, what's happening to you, you can do it. Persons in our positions, it's hard to get fundings and very, very expensive. SBDC would be helpful in regards to help funding people with disabilities. So nothing is impossible if you're disabled, any kind of disability. Put faith in God and trust God, believe you will overcome.
So you want a space. But not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
If If you enjoy watching Beyond the Headlines, take advantage of our exclusive offers with 4 15-minute interview segments at $1,200 and 20 30-second TV ads at $2,000. Contact 557-0258 or 557-0259 for more information. Go beyond with Beyond the Headlines.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. We're going to shift gears now to an interview that is nearly a week old. In fact, so many of you watched it, and I'm just the responses that you gave to me as far as China. I mean, people really tuned in, and that was the interview with Sebastian, a noted businessman who sat here next to me to talk about just his life's work, and possibly open to seeking a nomination in the upcoming general election. Well, before he even had a chance to say, or even whichever organization says, listen, we gonna give him the nomination, Pastor Lyle Bethel, a noted pastor, the pastor of Grace Community Church, says in a very stinging letter to the editor, a good name can't be bought. In fact, Pastor Lyle Bethel says, are we witnessing the slow takeover of our political system by the gaming industry? Now, it's loaded. It's a lot to get to, and I can also add to a lot, but I'm going to let my panelists kind of jump in for a moment and give their thoughts on that before I just sort of take a trek down history of how so many of our elected officials got into Parliament, what they were doing. Did they buy their way in? Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say that, but certainly they were frowned upon in the industries that they participated in at the time. This is now the 30s, the 40s. Many of them are on our currency today because they are national heroes. That's it. They are national heroes. They're on our currency. Well, these men started doing what they were doing, and I am no spokesperson for Sebastian, but he operates in a legitimate industry. He owns businesses in a legitimate industry that has been made legal, that has been regularized, added laws and various tiers of law of provisions to it, employs thousands of people. You all heard the show. I don't have to repeat what was said, but I'd like to hear from you all. Please welcome to the panel in this segment, Gabrielle. Gabrielle, it's good to have you here. Gabrielle McKenzie-Enius, and of course Peggy, thank you for continuing to tune in. Gabrielle, I might as well start with you and then Peggy will jump in.
Listen, I find the article amusing and shocking, actually. It's interesting that when so many things are going on in our country, I mean, I really don't like to comment on clergymen, but we've seen in the news recently how members of the clergy have been charged with sexual assault of minors. We've seen so many instances of them just doing so many things that are untoward and unbecoming. And yet our focus is turned on a legitimate Bahamian, a legitimate businessman who is in an industry that has been regularized, that is providing thousands of jobs for Bahamians right now, today, and committed to serving his community. Pastor, I don't know, I cry. That's heartbreaking. Your statements today are a little bit heartbreaking because we don't see where's this energy when all sorts of foul things are going on in this country.
And then how is the church so selective in what it chooses to highlight? And I'm not trying to tell the church stand down from its little pedestal or big pedestal of holding the nation to righteousness. But what are we talking about here, Peggy?
I think, from my understanding, this letter, Pastor Bethel is continuing his fight against the gaming industry. During the referendum, he made reference, that is where he started back there. Mm-hmm. And I believe he is parked there mentally. He still have a heart for Sabas and the gaming industry. But there's some stuff that he wrote. Please release your wealth and resources and turn it over to an husbandman group of righteous men and women.
Give it to the church.
Are you serious?
Give it to the church.
Give it to them. Give it. Then he said, the rich young ruler asked Jesus, but Pastor, you're not Jesus. I mean, I think he has stepped out. I think he has personal feelings because he got beat in the quest to no vote for gaming. I think it's a continuation. And these are my thoughts, Pastor. When you say, are you really serious about having a relationship with Jesus? What is your responsibility to him? How can you say that when Bible says, by your love they shall know him. They shall be drawn to you by your love.
But
and
let
only
he without
God
sin.
only the Holy Spirit can bring a man to repentance.
Let he without sin cast the first
stone. The words of Jesus himself.
I mean,
and then let's talk about, because when we talk about making money off the poor man's back and living the life of leisure and luxury, well, isn't the church also looked at and with a very critical eye to say, but wait a minute, many pastors are now superstars. Many pastors
driving cars while many of their congregations struggles. Sometimes they can't even find food to eat. I mean, there are so many critical issues going on right there within your congregation. I'm sure we can find people right now that are hurting. So many issues when we have, again, minors being sexually assaulted. Yes. We have so many things rampant in our country, and this is the issue that we focus on.
I'm no enemy of the church. I was born in the church. Listen, I am surrounded. My father is a pastor. Like, it's not me fighting the church or even having a disrespect for the church. But the thing is, you've got to this. I find this to be misplaced. This industry, yes, the referendum happened. It's now legal. The industry has been regularized. There have been various tiers of law and legislation to help those who find themselves falling through the cracks. What about the Chinese bars and restaurants all over that litter the various communities? Are you speaking about the fact about, listen, so many men and families are ruined by the abuse of alcohol?
What do you mean? Some of the people there are involved in there. Some of the same people, if you go right down the road, you meet some of the same persons of the church there. I don't know if it's fellowshipping, I don't know if it's missionary work, I don't know, but you could surely find a lot of them there engaged in those activities. So what makes Peter better than Paul in this situation?
You know, I was reluctant to read this. It was sent to me several times because every time I start to read it, it comes off to me as a personal vendetta. Like I say, from losing to the gaming board doing the referendum. And then the last line, the most disturbing line. If you wish to talk again, you know where to find me. Jesus? Jesus?
Listen, Mr. Bastian is a Bahamian, and under the Constitution of the Bahamas, he is allowed to offer himself to be a part of the process. So no man could stop him as long as he qualifies to do so under our Constitution. So the people will decide. The people, Bahamians, will decide to accept or reject him, just as they will decide to accept or reject any candidate that puts themselves forward in the next general election or any general election as they've done.
I would like to invite Pastor Bethel. I'm a part of a group of women, and we are raising attention to the number of our children in this country who are being sexually abused and assaulted and right out rape. And I'm inviting you to bring that energy that you have for Sabas, because this ain't about gaming. This is about Mr. Bastian. To bring that energy and help us take a stand in this country that there be no tolerance for the abuse, the assault, and the murder of our children. That's little girls and little boys. So we can use your passion. We can use your energy to bring, and we go into court next month for the sentencing of a young girl who was raped. Come join us, sir. Help us in this fight. Leave this grown man alone, please.
As I said, you know, we have many people. Our history will dictate it. I'm not making this story up. Who have reached the highest office in the land. Those who have been, I guess, praised for creating the industry that we now enjoy. And then further, we have continued to honor them because they are now on our banknotes. because they are heroes.
Yes.
And if you track the history of these men, you will see that they were in industries that at the time were so frowned upon.
But Shanique, in a sense, I blame Sabas for this, you know. I sat and I listened to that interviews like many thousands did. And when I began to hear what he has done with his wealth to assist this country, in the Bahamas, we call it folks, you don't be modest.
True.
You don't hide your light under a bushel, because from this letter, it is giving the impression that you're a hog.
Yeah.
That everything you got,
Yeah.
you go on cruises and you live good
you just flaunt it.
Yeah. And so Sabasa, I kind of blame you, because in this country, you have to let your light shine. Your good works, you have to let it shine, because these people will characterize you based on their personal dislikes. And because they have a public forum and audience, they'll take that and try to influence people against you. And so I talk about the goodness that you have done to assist this country and to assist Bahamians, and that you are not just a taker. I don't gamble, because I don't like to lose.
Me either.
So people who have the high risk factor in gambling, that's a decision they are making every time.
Every time.
And then we cannot overlook the fact that many family islands lose the number houses to send and receive money.
Yeah.
And so y'all who behaving like y'all brain drying up because of the fear factor that this man might enter, behave yourselves. Remember the goodness. That's all I can say.
But I think if he listen, like I said earlier, the people are the ones who have the authority to accept or reject. No man, no one else can tell. He is allowed to offer himself, whether he decides to do that independently or on any party's ticket. He has that right to do so. And let's stop doing this to our own man.
It's only that.
Another thing, and he suggested that this man will buy his way to the prime minister. What an insult!
That's an insult.
Come on.
Yeah, that's an insult. That he has to. I think the man has a track record that you all say if he decides and makes a decision to go and offer himself, the people will determine whether he's worthy or not based on that track record. Many candidates now trying to seek somewhere don't have that kind of track record to share with the Bahamian people. And so the thing is, again, it was a stunning and stinging letter to the editor, and you just wondered, where did it come from? Why?
It's a personal gripe.
It's
you
a
can
personal
tell.
vendetta.
Like when we say when somebody have a gripe with you, or as they say, when somebody have a vibe with you, they could take that vibe to the grave, and they'll do whatever it takes to make sure that you don't succeed, or whatever plans you have, they put a wrench in it. So this isn't going to be anything new. I think we're going to see more of where this comes from with anybody who has a personal opinion. But I believe Mr. Miller said on a few nights ago, listen, don't everybody has the right to offer themselves to service in this country. The Bahamian people will have to decide who is the best choice for them, who represents what they are looking for, who is going to speak to their issues, who is going to help and lead them in the right direction.
Help make their lives better. Listen, and the people didn't care, but the rest of a bunch of this, who will make their lives better. That's what it is right there.
So I rebuke the controlling spirit that has entered into politics. You're trying to control people's movements for your own selfish reasons.
Wait a minute.
I rebuke you, controlling spirit.
Listen, and on that note, for the gentleman that just walked in the door, Garth Rosborough, I saw you just now. I saw you just walked in. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, Garth. Yes, absolutely. And I want to thank, of course, tonight's guests, Leslie Miller with Peggy, and then, of course, now Gabrielle and Peggy in this segment. Thank you all so much. I want to thank all of you for tuning in this evening, even hanging through all the little bumps and whatnot that we had this evening. Thank you all very, very much. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. Make it a great evening.